Hello, this is Bob Joyner, and in this video we're going to be asking the question, what is the best day trading strategy for you? Best day trading strategy for myself may not be the same one for you. So let's start out with the definition first. A day trading strategy is a set of rules for entering and exiting a trade. The criteria for entry and exit, whether at a profit or a loss, is as specific as possible. So if you don't have a basis for the trade, a basis for entering the trade, and a basis for exiting the trade, then you really don't have a day trading strategy. A good day trading strategy is one that creates a profitable equity curve over time. If you were to examine the equity in your account, the money in your account over time, hopefully you're going to be seeing an upgoing graph, right, where you're making money over time. Otherwise, you best not be trading. But unfortunately, that's not the kind of graph that a lot of traders see. Results for a lot of traders are more like this, where it's just a slow, steady decline over time, or worse, where it's real jagged edges like this, which probably means either the trader does not even have a strategy, or they have a strategy, but they're not being faithful to it. They're not obeying the strategy that they're supposed to be following. Okay, so let's talk about some of that. So how do we know first which day trading strategy is best for us? And the answer is we measure everything. So here's the process I follow. I've been developing trading strategies for over a decade now, and I have a different strategy for each different thing that I trade. So for example, I have a strategy for day trading stocks. That strategy and time frame is very different, and the look of those charts is very different from the strategy and the charts that I use for trading forex. And that's very different from the strategy and the charts that I use for day trading SPY options. So each one I've kind of developed a strategy over time, and that process takes a long time. It's not some quick fix or something. You just don't suddenly figure it out real quickly. But here's the process that I follow. I see a pattern on the chart. I do visual back testing of the strategy, and I've learned over time to especially pay close attention to those instances on the chart where it doesn't actually quite work out. A lot of times when you see a new strategy, your temptation is to just focus on, oh look, there it is, there it is, there it is. And you're seeing all the times that, yeah, it worked, but you're not focusing on and accepting the fact that there are a lot of instances where it's kind of a gray area where it may not have worked that great. Okay, so you got to pay attention to all that. I paper trade the idea, taking every trade setup that qualifies, and if I'm not taking a trade setup that qualifies based on the initial parameters of the strategy, then I'm going to make a note of those distinguishers. Why did not take that one, for example? I journal the charts, the ideas, noting what I see. So I'm taking little screenshots of my chart, I'm posting that into a journal and cataloging everything, noting what I saw, noting what I missed, that sort of thing. I measure the results, and we'll get into more of the results in just a second. And then I add the distinguishers and repeat the process. So over time, what's happening is I'm taking an initial strategy, and I'm not just taking it right out of the box and just using it however I want to. I'm taking that initial strategy, testing it, tweaking it over time, refining that strategy, until that strategy becomes a well-honed machine that if I simply do the strategy and follow my rules, then I have a very high probability of success. And that's what you're after. So key here is knowing your KPIs. If you're not familiar with KPI, it simply means key performance indicators. And it's funny how a lot of us have come from various businesses where we had to know our numbers, right? If we were in sales, we had to know how many attempts of a sale we made, how many closes we made. If we're in other businesses, we're measuring various things to determine our success and how our performance is doing. And the only way we can improve, of course, is to measure those things and to tweak and review, improve our process over time, improve our KPIs over time. But it's funny how a lot of us came from industries where that was just a normal part of our work day, but yet we come into trading and we're kind of like oblivious. We're not even looking at our KPIs. Some traders, I fear, who are new to trading are just jumping in. They see price and they're just running up and they're jumping in. They have no strategy. They have no review process. They have no KPIs. Okay, so here's some of the KPIs that you want to focus on. First off, of course, your strategy name, because you may have dozens of strategies. So your strategy name, what are the numbers of your wins versus losses? And most people think, well, that's good enough. Well, not at all. You have to look at your P&L, your profit and loss, based on those numbers, as a dollar amount and also as a percentage of the amount that you invested. You have to look at your return on investment, or your ROI, over time to see how did that strategy perform on various days in the market with various stocks. How specific is your strategy to one particular stock, one particular type of equity, one particular type of time of the day? So you've got to measure those different ROIs over time, and you've also got to look at the equity used per trade. So if you had a big loss, for example, and you used a whole lot more equity than you did on normal, you've got to factor that in and realize that your equity per trade has a huge impact upon your KPIs. If all this seems like a lot of work, well, it is, okay? But you cannot create a profitable equity curve over time if you're not evaluating and tweaking your performance. You've got to really dig into the numbers and get serious about this business that you're trying to make a livelihood out of. Success with trading is not measured by a single trade, but rather by the accumulation of your results over time. And that's important to know. One single trade is not going to make or break it. If you've created a winning strategy, you feel like it's a winning strategy, don't throw it out just because you have a few losses. I remember I did that early on in my career. You have a few losses, you'll think, well, that one sucks. Throw that one out and start all over again. But no, that's just part of the refining process. That's part of you evaluating what worked and what didn't work, and then tweaking that process over time, tweaking your analysis, tweaking your strategy over time, and then gradually improving. And then also you're managing your own self, of course. You're trying to improve your own performance, and whether you're staying true to the strategy or you're going off on some tangent and chasing something else that has nothing to do with your strategy. It's a big temptation if you're a person who likes to trade. But over time, the good news is you can succeed if you pay attention and if you have time. Now, the problem is, what if you don't have the luxury of time? Time to create, test, evaluate, tweak, etc. Let's say you're trying to hit the ground running as a day trader. Well, you're new to this whole business. Well, you're probably not going to have the year, 2 years, 3 years to develop good strategies on your own. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of review, a lot of measuring, a lot of tweaking. And you should do that. I think that everybody should work on developing their own strategies. If nothing else, it keeps you humble as a trader, okay? Because it's not an easy business to be in. But what if you don't have that kind of time? What if you need to hit the ground running? You need to make money right away? Well, there's a couple of opportunities, of course. You can adopt and adapt. You can adopt somebody else's strategy. You can look YouTube, you can look online, you can find strategies. They're not hard to find, okay? But then try to tweak that and make it yours over time. The other thing is to follow and study, and that is where you're actually following somebody else who has a proven strategy, and you're just trying to stay true to what their strategy is until you can create your own. So in essence, you can piggyback in either of these situations. You can piggyback off of someone else's proven system and focus on your own trade management, fixing your KPIs until you have a strategy that beats that master strategy, that beats that strategy you've been following. I would be remiss if I didn't mention to you the two opportunities you have with me for day trading. One is day trading stocks, okay? And that's where you're going to have at least 25K and be a pattern day trader to be in that chat room. That room is open from 9:30 to 11:30 every morning. I post 3 to 5 trade alerts per day, and I have an 80% plus track record, which I'll give you the link in the description box if you want to see my history of trades for the whole year. The other option is to day trade options, which I have an afternoon SPY chat room, and that's where you can get started as low as $500 within your trading account if you're using a cash account. And that room is open from 2:40 to 2:45 to 4 p.m. every day. And the emphasis there is on learning to see trends, learning to see support and resistance, learning to make the right decisions, stay on the right side of the trade, and then using options to try to grow a small account. If you're interested in either one of those stocks or options, I'll put links in the description box below this video so you can check it out. But hopefully this video has been kind of a review. If nothing else, you've learned the seriousness of the trading business, and you've got some ideas for how to tweak your own strategy, or you've got some things that you need to evaluate and look at from a different angles to determine what's the best strategy for you. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate you subscribing to the channel. You can learn some other things. There are a lot of other videos on this channel related to stop losses, related to day trading, related to day trading strategies, and related to TC2000, which is the software that I use for trading and that I use in both of my chat rooms. So here are some other videos as well if you'd like to check out some of those videos. Thanks for watching.